The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Aaron Rodgers had a bold message to this disgruntled Jet fan base. He also might have discovered the fountain of youth. We'll talk about that and much more when Will Parkinson joins us in his weekly spot on the show. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
This is the same old Jets. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button for low. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Here we go. I apologize for the mic issue at the top there. I realized it was not connected, so hopefully I sound A-okay. If you missed what I said, Aaron Rodgers, he had a message to us Jet fans before this Texans game tomorrow night. So let's get into that and much more with today's guest. The great Will Parkinson, the host of the Turn on the Jets podcast, joins us now. And Will, just like you are, I am, we're both Yankee fans, so the Yankees live to see another day. They'll play today in Game 5 of the World Series. And tomorrow night, the Jets, I mean, at 2-6, they might be done, but certainly they're done if they drop the 2-7. So they're looking to see at least another week in their season.
Yeah, I'm in we're both in kind of a precarious situation where both seasons are likely done. Like, if we're being honest, right? Like, the Jets are 95% of the way there, 90% of the way there, and the Yankees are 99% of the way there. Fortunate news is, at least for one day, you can kind of think of, hey, if the Yankees come back, tonight, does it start to get interesting? I don't think the Jets win tomorrow night, but Vegas certainly seems to think so. And there's always the weird stuff that happens on Thursday. And hey, if they win that, hey, you never know. Maybe they get to 5-6 at the bye, like we thought 2 weeks ago. It's like, at least you can have a little bit of maybe potential hope depending on what happens. But yeah, this is going to be both seasons have a good chance of ending in the next 24 hours. But if they don't, maybe you'll at least have another week of some fun.
Now, Will, you're going to have to clear something up for the audience. I heard from multiple sources that you were inspired by the Yankee Goomba last night and that you plan on sacking C.J. Stroud mid-play during this game tomorrow night. Is this true?
I cannot confirm nor deny, but a close source to the situation says I am willing to go to MetLife jail to have a Yankee-like comeback.
Up until this moment last night, I was more fight than anyone associated with the Yankees.
Is that Tim Robbins over there? Young.
It looks like it, man. Can we get Fireman Ed, sacking Stroud tomorrow night? I mean,
I don't know. Is he still complaining to the New York Post? Or
oh, stop it! They took his quotes out of context. He's not complaining.
I know. I'm just joking.
It did my guy wrong.
No, I know. That was not really sure what happened there. I tried to stay out of that one, but Jets are signing a kicker. Let's go.
Oh, breaking news!
Yeah. Let's go. Greg Zuerlein is not kicking tomorrow night.
Let's see who they signed. Do we have the kicker's name?
Riley Patterson and Spencer Schrader.
Well, they signed both of them, so we're gonna have two guys on the practice squad, and they'll elevate one of them.
No, I think Zuerlein might just be going to IR. They said this will give Greg Zuerlein time to get his knee right. Patterson or Schrader will kick tomorrow night.
A new kicker. Can you feel the momentum swinging for the New York Jets?
Yeah, dude. Is that our Mookie Betts wrist break right there? I mean, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I don't know, but they are a favorite, and as bad as it has been for the Jets, obviously, it's not like they're getting blown out.
That's the best news we've gotten in weeks.
I know.
They haven't won a game. Devontae and Reddick.
Dude, they had not won a game in over a month. September 19th, the last time the Jets.
Last time was on a Thursday. Don't you feel like, Jake, I know this is so stupid, and I don't know if your listeners will agree, but like, I almost think that the Jets having no time to prepare for this game is an advantage.
Yep. I can't think about the debacle they've been. They just got to go play.
I almost feel like when the Jets, and again, this is maybe overly positive, and people won't like this, but like when the Jets have too much time to prepare, it feels like they overthink things. It's almost like they don't prepare at all. They over prepare and then don't, and they look unprepared. Does that make sense? It feels like when they've got nothing to lose and they've got very little time to prepare, or different things going on, they seem to figure it out because it's like they just play football and the talent just takes over as opposed to overthinking of we got to do this, we got to do this. Oh my God, what happens? Like they just go and play. And again, maybe I'm dumb, which is probably highly likely, but I almost feel like the Jets are thinking so much right now. And Jake, I don't know. I don't know if you agree with this. Like I felt like the Jets weren't thinking early on against the Patriots on Sunday afternoon. The second Drake May gets hurt, that was their adversity. I know it sounds crazy, but I said this on my pod, and I don't know if you agree here. It feels like every week right now they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're overthinking, hey, what's going to happen? How, oh my God, how are we going to lose this game? This is what happens, right? It's the same thing with the Yankees right now, where and very different, but like you're pressing so hard. Judge is pressing, he's pressing, which makes you slump more, which makes you press more. You start doing things out of character. And again, I know the Jets are not a good football team. Like I'm not telling you they are, but Aaron Rodgers didn't lose the ability to play quarterback or get the ball off, on time or do these different things. There so much has to be perfect that I just feel like maybe it'll benefit this team to just have to go play, right? You don't have time to stew on the loss. I'm not saying they're going to win at all. I wouldn't pick them to win right now. I don't think anyone in their right mind would, but I don't know. I just felt like even Sunday, it's like they can't handle adversity right now at all. And I wonder if, like, no time to think about it, maybe they just do a better job on Thursday against a short-handed Texans team on a short week at home.
Hope they can. I'm not picking them to win, but, crazier things have happened.
Everyone thinks I'm, like, delusional and all this stuff sometimes, or I'm too optimistic. I'm not being overly optimistic here. I just think that there's obviously Vegas, if they're 1.5-point favorite at home, that obviously they're seeing something. I think that, a lot of the conversation's been, hey, the Jets are probably more like a 4-4 or 5-3 team based on special teams and some calamity of errors. And the Texans really should probably be around 5-3 as well, or 5-4 as well, just because, hey, they actually got really lucky against Buffalo. They almost choked that away. And, the Colts kind of pooped all over themselves 2 times. I look at this game, Jake, and I'm not saying all of a sudden, the season's back on if they win, but it would be nice to just see them show a little fight, even if they, they go out there and lose 23-20, but they figure it out, and they CJ Stroud leads them at the end and they lose in a game-winning field goal, and like at least show some heart, some fight. I'd like to at least have something a little bit to watch up until the bye week. But again, I don't think anyone in the right mind's picking them, but at the same time, like, there's always a world in which they figure it out. It's hard to put it's so mental for me right now. I don't know. It's clearly not talent. They're starting off these games. They're up double digits. And it's like, one thing happens and they just crater. And I don't know. Maybe as crazy as it is, maybe if they make their kicks, they win on Thursday night and you're like, oh, okay, maybe is there a chance we win against Arizona? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm just in a crazy headspace this morning, but at least there's like, can tomorrow at least be a watchable game that you see some good stuff from the young players? Sauce responds after being kind of called a little bit of a whale's vagina on, by most people in the media over the last 7 days. You know what I mean? Like, can you see something from this team? A little bit of heart, a little bit of guts, and at least give you something to say, hey, this season might be shot, but like, I'm not totally out on our young players. Cause I think that's the scary thing right now, Jake, is the conversation's not even just like, oh, I'm done with Aaron or I'm done with Saleh and Ulbrich and stuff. It's like the fan base feels like they're done with Sauce and they're not as high on Garrett anymore. And, hey, we're not as high on, like, that's not a good place to be in. That will make rebuilding a lot bit harder. So let's just go see a competitive, good football game on Thursday night. And if you go and win, at least makes the game interesting in Arizona in 10 days.
That's how you got to look at it. And really, what's frustrating about this Jets team is why they actually have a chance to win tomorrow. It's not like they're getting blown out in any of these games. Even the Steelers game, the final score is a blowout. They were up by 9 going into the half before Rodgers threw that pick right before halftime and changed the entire complexion of the game. and then the Garrett drop that led to another, what was essentially a pick six down to the 1 yard line. And the final score is a blowout, but really was a close game. Same with the other games they've lost during this losing streak. 4 of the 5 losses in a row have been by 1 score. So I'm not picking them to win tomorrow, but the reason why they have a chance to win is, sometimes you just need a break. And and obviously no one wants to admit this because it's like, oh, everything sucks. But it's like, yeah, they're not good right now. But also, if they had just league level kicking, they have at least 1, if not 2, and you can maybe even argue 3 wins. And it's not as dire as they're still trying to work through the glaring issues this team has. So win tomorrow, and then at least you could be relevant-esque for another week or 2. And anything short of 5 and 6 into the bye, you're done. But you got to win tomorrow, and somehow you're a favorite tomorrow. And the reason why they're a favorite is if you talk to people around the Texans, they will tell you they're not as good as their record. They're 6-2, yet their point differential is only a +8. They do not have Stephon Diggs, who's been their leading receiver. They do not have Nico Collins. And it's kind of similar to what happened last year when the Texans lost some of their key receivers in that game against the Jets. Tank Dell didn't play. Dalton Schultz got hurt in that game, and Nico Collins got hurt in that game very early, and Zach Wilson had one of his few good games as a Jet, and they blew him out. So it's a weird game. It's Thursday night, usually favors the home team. So I think the Texans win a close game, but they got a chance. And until you actually get that 7th loss, if you're a Jet fan, you might as well root for wins. You got nothing else to lose.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be some people in the fan base that are rooting for this to kind of totally blow up. And I guess who can blame them in a sense of that's just what people are kind of almost like trained to do at this point in the season. But yeah, I mean, again, Nate, I read all your comments, buddy. I will give you this early in the show, so you don't have to keep writing it. No, like I think at the end of the day, like it'd be really nice to go out there tomorrow night and watch a team that has kind of is on the precipice of this season totally imploding beyond belief. I think Joe Caparoso referred to it as the nuclear holocaust, which was an interesting take. But regardless, like it'd be nice to see them go beat a good team and say, hey, man, like who knows what happens against Arizona next week? But for 10 days, like we're not going to get pooped on, for the next 10 days in the media and the press, and it can be like a little bit quieter. So, yeah, I'm excited for this game in terms of like if they lose tomorrow night, is anyone fully expecting them to win? No. But if they win, it's like, oh, maybe we can have at least an interesting conversation for the next 10 days against an Arizona team that's not that good. And hey, you never know, right? Like that, at least it'd be nice to be in the hey, you never know category again, as opposed to like this is an abject disaster.
Well, you know what it comes down to, right? It comes down to how Rodgers in particular looks. Because if he could resemble anywhere close to what he was against New England the last time this team played, Thursday night game at home, there would be some hope because it's like, has something clicked? And it's very weird hearing him yesterday talk about finding, the fountain of youth, which we'll get into. But I also want to play his message to this fan base when he spoke with the media yesterday in the Jets locker room.
What message would you have for your fan base?
Smile, show up, trust, believe, and root us on as hard as you can. We need that noise, and we're trying to rectify this as quickly as possible. I know it's been frustrating for everybody, but still a lot of season left.
I know you'd rather be in a difference.
Well, here's the thing, Aaron. There's not a lot of season left as far as having a chance to do something relevant with your season. So I know he has to say it. He's required to speak. He can't be like, yeah, we're screwed. But, I mean, this is really it for him with this team from the standpoint of if they lose Will, I think there's a scenario where they're selling off some of their veterans who won't be here next year by the trade deadline. At least that's what a smart franchise would do. The Jets are not one of them right now. So maybe they would just do nothing other than maybe they move Mike Williams for a pick swap. But, I do think as far as like this core and this team having any chance in the Aaron Rodgers era, like I think they're done, but any chance of doing something, I mean, you got to win tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. I think Thursday provides some clarity on what happens before the deadline, as you mentioned, right? I think, do you look at it and go, okay, DJ Reed, maybe even Tyron Smith, I'm not sure. I saw CJ Mosley thrown out. I don't know. I don't really see the Jets trading a guy they just kind of mini extended, but hey, you never know. Is anyone to take on Reddick, right? I don't think they're going to, I'd rather have Devontae here for a year and a half, 2 years, even if Rodgers isn't here. Than not.
Devontae want to do that though. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think Devontae wants to get paid and make a bunch of money, and and ideally win as well. Who knows there, but I don't think he's going to want to get traded again, but you never know. I guess, DJ Reed's the number one guy I think you look at. I saw Connor Hughes throw out Tyrod Taylor. I hadn't really thought about that. I'm not sure what you're getting for Tyrod at this point. I think I don't know, whatever. The point being, like, can you get a couple day 3 picks, Mike Williams? Can you get a 4 and a 6 for Mike Williams and DJ Reed? Can you get something if the season kind of goes in that direction where at least you have, a new GM would come in and at least have 12 picks or 10 picks to, kind of come in and wheel and deal a little bit with and add some talent to the roster. I also think, Jake, like, the way the rest of the season goes for Rodgers kind of determines a lot of next year. I think, if this team finishes 8-9, but, shows some fight at the end and Rodgers looks like, hey, he's moving around pretty good. If we get some more pieces on this roster and, we get a little, we get Olu for Tyron Smith and I don't know, we get a little cheaper at corner, but we get better at X, Y, and Z. Like, do we make one run at this thing with Rodgers? And, I don't know. My point being, like, this does matter. Like, these games do matter because, again, if the Jets look competitive at the end of the year, the next 9 weeks, and Rodgers looks much more like week 3 and the Bills game Rodgers than he does, some of these other games, do you give it one more shot to run it back and assume Rodgers isn't going to be great, but, like, the rest of the roster has to get better? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you're at the point right now where, coach and GM talk is interesting. I tweeted out, my pipe dream of which will never happen. But this game and the next 5, 6, 7 weeks, again, development of some of these guys, showing some pulse and, like, heart at some point. I'd like to see them stop losing games. Like, that's not just about, like, obviously in the loss column, but, like, they're losing these games. They're not, like, getting outplayed. That's what's the most frustrating part. They are choking away game after game. And you'd like to see that at least stop at some point.
We're talking with Will Parkinson, his weekly spot on the show, moving some things around this week because of the fact the Jets are indeed playing a game on Halloween. We are presented by Underdog Fantasy. I'm going to have Will evaluate my Underdog pick'em for Jets Texans right now. Support our sponsor, Underdog. Download the app right now on your phone. Sign up and use promo code Asman and take advantage of the Underdog special where they could give you up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Will, your thoughts on what I have here? Did I cook? Joe Mixon, higher than 82.5 rushing yards. Aaron Rodgers, higher than 235 passing yards. CJ Stroud, longest rush, higher than 6.5 yards. This was $10 to win $58 with Underdog Fantasy. Your thoughts on my Underdog pick'em?
Wink, wink. You obviously are forgetting a couple of zeros there. No, I like it. The Jets feel like their rush lanes are horrible right now, and you told me they're going to give up a quarterback run of 6+ yards. I totally can see that. Joe Mixon, the reason you wouldn't pick the Jets in this game is purely because of, in my opinion, because of Joe Mixon running all over this team, or the potential of it. Although I guess they stopped the run decently well last week. They couldn't stop, Keyshawn Butte.
Or Jacoby Brissett or Drake May running.
Yeah, I mean, it was not pretty. I don't hate it. The Rodgers one, I have no idea what their game plan is going to look like. So
this just seems too low for me because you look at all the recent games with the Jets, he's basically gone over that number each time.
Yeah, no, I agree. And if Larry Romano says bet the opposite of me, you're probably in good shape because I'm smarter than Larry when it comes to this stuff. No offense, buddy. You're gonna get feisty today. I'm gonna get feisty. We're gonna keep letting it ride.
That's right, man. I mean, look, Will was inspired last night by this Yankee Goomba. Will be sacking Stroud and helping the Jets
how many
win.
chins can we count there? That's an impressive amount of chins.
Just incredible. I love all the people who are so, like, upset about it. It's just laugh, man. No one got hurt. The guy's an idiot.
Listen,
funny.
We all know that guy's an idiot. The
Yes.
guy's an absolute idiot. It's totally crazy what he did. It's obviously not okay. No one's
But if you
saying
can't
it's
laugh
okay.
at it, you're not a human being.
If Mookie got actually hurt, we're having a different conversation. He didn't. The guy's an absolute jackass.
Of course.
But it is just funny from the aspect of, like, it was just more the reaction after him. They're like, "Oh no, we didn't do it. We didn't do it." It's like, dude, what was that? So it was just the whole thing was like more like it felt like an SNL skit. It was obviously not actually funny what he did. It's more of the comedy around like what was they probably spent $3,000 on those tickets a pop. And then we're like, hey, let's get kicked out in the first inning. Like, very dumb.
It's so funny. I just laugh at all the salty Met fans, like Nate parentheses Nate. Oh, typical Yankee fan reaction. The bottom line is every fan base has fans that are schmucks and will do the same thing. People already hate the Yankee fan, so it doesn't really matter. I laugh at it. In fact, I think you should throw out the first pitch tonight, Will, and get his own parade float if they pull off this miracle.
Listen, man, it was one of those moments where you were like, I honestly, Babyface is singing the national. Wow, this is. I was more just. I was more sitting there going, like, oh, like, what am I watching? Because at first it looked like, hey, maybe he caught the ball and at the same time as Mookie because it's on TV, and then like out of nowhere. They go to the replay, and he's like actively yanking the glove and the ball out of Mookie.
The other guy
I'm like, what am I watching right now? This is absolutely insane.
Funny. All right, here we go. Let's get to some super chats here. We're mixing some calls as well with Will. This first one is from 25, who says, I don't want to hear anything from Rodgers at this point. Lock him up in the darkness with JD. Shut up and play. Here's where I will defend Aaron Rodgers. He's required to speak to the media. So what do you want him to say? We suck. We're done.
He didn't do McAfee this week.
Yeah, he didn't.
The only thing I'll say is like everyone all of a sudden hates Rodgers. He's the worst and all that stuff. And I get it.
Only because they're losing. That's why.
I get it, I guess. But the only thing I'll say is like you just said, Jake, like what would you like him to say? Would you like him to be like, I hate everyone. This is terrible. Like, if he's a robot, people get mad. If he says, whatever it's just like, I don't, he didn't, like, what would you expect him to say? Like, I don't understand. Sometimes I get it. Like, hey, he says a lot or he doesn't say. Some of these guys, like, what do you want them to say, man? Like, it's a required media session. Like, it is what it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's called media availabilities. They are responsible to do it every week. If you're the starting quarterback, you have to talk. So I'm not going to get that upset. Now, what did you make, though, of the comment Rodgers made?
The cayenne pepper being gassy?
Yeah, cayenne pepper from Thomas Morstead in a water, part of this regimen to make Aaron Rodgers feel as good as he has felt all year. His mobility, he claims, has returned. And that's true. And we see what he looked like the last time that this team played Thursday night. All of a sudden, there actually is a glimmer of hope. What did you make of that comment?
Yeah, I mean, hey, whatever you're going to do, try it.
I hope it works.
Whatever works, man. Like, Ray Lewis went to horse tranquilizer. A-Rod and Bonds went to roids. Maybe Rodgers goes to cayenne pepper. Tom Brady went to kissing his son. Like, everyone's got different tactics to get them right on game day. So, hey, if it works, have the whole team start doing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue now with your super chats. This one is from Maurice, who checks in. I'm still here. I'm a glutton for punishment, but I'm still here. All these people who say they're not going to watch, they don't care anymore. You care. That's why you're still tuned into the show, because you love this team. And you watch because you hope one day it changes.
No one's like giving you a hard time for watching. No one says you have to be quite as invested as you were before or get as angry or whatever. But like, I don't believe you when you say you don't watch. Like, then you're consuming Jets content on a Wednesday morning. It's okay. No one's going to fault you. It's okay. Like, I consume Nets games, even though they suck. Like, it doesn't matter. We're going to get Cooper Flag, and maybe we'll like get 1% of the 100 million people in New York will watch a Nets game other than me. But listen, still watch. And like, I'm not going to pretend, they're tanking, I'm not going to watch. Like, yes, you are. It's okay. No one's giving you a hard time for it. I don't know why you have to like, it's not like dude, we were leaving MetLife against the Bills, and this one kid, obviously obliterated, was like, I'm done with this team. I'm a Bills fan. And I'm like, shut up. Like, actually, like, no one wants, you're not some victim. Like, it's okay. Please stop. I can't. That stuff is like just brutal. I don't know. It's brutal.
Ladies and gentlemen, super chat from NYJ. Al Bonesy is better at selling shoes than Rodgers is at selling get well lines to Jet fans. Hey, just win tomorrow, man. Prove us wrong, baby. Prove us wrong, Jets. Bo with a super chat. As a professional athlete, I would not want this on my NFL resume. If you're not winning for the Jets, have the pride to at least win for that. Yeah, I mean, like the more losses this team gets, the bigger all-time sports failure they become. And not everyone's going to be traded. Like, there's going to be players that are going to have to wear that. Like, win, man. And also, like, win because like winning is more fun than losing. Like you're being paid to play a children's game. Go out there and show some pride.
It's pretty simple. Like I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's like just let it rip, man. Like Austin Wells said it yesterday at the Yankees, but he's like, F it. Like, what do I have to lose? It's over. Like, it's almost over. Like, might as well just like let it rip and see what happens.
Ladies and gentlemen, super chat from 80s Jock, who's going after Will Parkinson. Will, you said we don't know ball for criticisms on Q. Will.
Okay, that was a month ago. He had a really bad stretch of games. I said he had a really bad stretch of games. If you listen to any of the 800 different shows I said do, but people were like, he's just not a good player, blah, blah. That's just obviously not true. The defensive line sucks as a whole. The talent is totally eroded. He also was their best player in defense on Sunday and had 2 sacks. So I feel like you should have said this comment last week, potentially, when he wasn't good against Buffalo. He was very good on Sunday. Yeah, man. Like, look,
he was actually pretty good against Pittsburgh too. He's had a couple of games in a row.
Quinn hasn't had his best year. Like, I'm not telling you you're wrong. But at the end of the day, he's still a very good player. I still think the tape doesn't lie that even though he's not had a good year, he's still a very good player and a guy that you want here long term. So, like, nice call out. That was probably better suited maybe a month ago.
25 says this will affect Rodgers' legacy in a bad way. You also know we're in the gutter when Stephen A is echoing the same.
Yeah, I don't care about. Kid couldn't care less about Stephen A's opinions on pretty much anything, let alone the NFL, in which he has no idea who's on half the team. So with no disrespect. So, I'm good on like Stephen A. Smith is a performing, actor, whatever you want to call him, or performative, host. When him and other guys who host pretty much every ESPN show that I used to really enjoy when they were on a show with another person with the same name as them, just whine the whole time. It doesn't do anything for me. Like when Rex Ryan and Damian Woody and Bart Scott are up there being passionate, that's one thing. I'm good on like the whiny or the victim mentality from him, or maybe a Stephen A. Smith who just liked Rodgers because it was opposite Brady, and now he doesn't like Rodgers because whatever. Not worth too much oxygen.
All right, here's the thing. I don't really care about Rodgers' legacy. Like his legacy as a Jet won't be positive. They don't win.
I could not care less.
Like, who cares? Like Aaron Rodgers is going to end up, if this season continues going down the tubes here, playing 2 years for the Jets where he didn't play in one of them. Like it is what it is. But his legacy as an all-time great quarterback is not impacted. He's a 4-time MVP. He's a Super Bowl MVP, and like. That's it. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and you can make an argument he's one of the 5 best players to ever play that position. So I think his legacy is just fine. His legacy in New York won't be great, but who cares?
Simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone's kind of already accepted that's probably going to be the case. Hopefully it's not. Maybe it turns around, but as of right now, like it is what it is. I'm trying. It's hard. I don't want to it's just living in a world of misery. It's not really worth it.
Super chat from the great Nick Shine. Yanks win tonight, Jets tomorrow. Could sports be enjoyable again for a few days? If not, Bobby Midnight dancing at the tailgate will cheer us up. Amen.
I would power rank it Bobby Midnight like over either of those other two for sure.
I will be at the Gotham City Crew tailgate for this one tomorrow to all the Jet fans coming. So stop by lot J3 and join us. I think there's still tickets left if you go to the Gotham City Crew website for their all-inclusive tailgate, and it will be magical. So I look forward to that. Let's see. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. Pete writes in, so if the Jets go back to 6-6, what would Jet fans say then? I would hope they would say, wow, we've turned the corner. We got a legitimate chance if we won 5 games, or no, it'd be
4 in a row.
Yeah, 4 in a row. If they win 4 games in a row, that means they would have been 5-6 into the bye, came out of their bye with another win. Then you start to think, okay, like what's changed with this team? To me, the biggest thing that would have changed, because it's not like the personnel is going to get that much better. The biggest thing that would have changed would be Aaron's healthy and he's back to being a lot closer to what he was that Thursday night. If they're able to rattle off that many wins,
it'd be cool just to it'd be cool to get in a position where they have a shot to do something or anything. I just would be able to be watching football with family and friends around Thanksgiving time, around the holidays, Christmas time, and the game matter. I think it'd be
just not being a joke, like not being embarrassed to wear Jets.
I was getting chirped in the deli this morning for having a Jets hoodie on. I was like, great. like this is extremely annoying. Like I was getting pissed off. Like I wanted to get in a boxing match with the guy. I was just ordering a simple breakfast sandwich, and this guy goes talking to somebody else. He's like, "Oh, wearing a Jets hoodie." I was like, "Big buddy, would you like your face smashed into a goddamn like?" That got me furious. But like, I'd like to be able to, hey, seeing cousins and uncles and aunts and things like that, and saying, hey, like, crazy season. Like the Jets are, you think the Jets have a shot? That's more fun than, man, the Jets. Like it's just like so tiring after a while.
Let's see. Super chat from Marshall, who says Knight Wright was right, and I own up. Nick Wright was right about what? Exactly. He moves the goalpost with all his opinions. And it's like, and also I just love the people that are always anti-Jets no matter what. Like, yeah, like history is going to tell you you're going to be right more times than not. This franchise hasn't gotten it right. So you're just playing the percentages. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm not going to give Nick Wright any more oxygen. I think he's a smart dude. I'd love to have him on the podcast because I'd love to actually hear what he really believes. But yeah, he hates anybody that's compared to Mahomes. It's pretty simple. Like I don't I don't know. It's not hard to figure out. Like anyone that comes close to LeBron or comes close to Mahomes, he hates, and that's his.
Well, Rodgers is also personal too because of the political aspect of it.
Yeah, which everyone claims. Oh, it's a classic. Oh, I don't care about his politics. It's like I don't know, dude. You seem to mention it every single time you bring up Rodgers, so it's pretty clear you do care about his politics.
I mean, he's trolling. It is what it is. 25 says kicker change is done. Can we try Olu over Smith? I am concerned about this Houston pass rush tomorrow. You got Will Anderson. They have Danielle Hunter. Like if Tyron does not show up and he's brutal tomorrow, Rodgers is not making it through this game potentially, Will. So, I mean, I've wanted Olu to play for weeks now. Your thoughts on this O-line and Olu and Tyron going forward?
Yeah, Tyron's had the back. I wonder if it doesn't go well this week and they lose. I wonder if you get an IR stint for Tyron if they can't trade him. Like if the season gets out of control, I'd like to see Olu play, at some point, regardless, and play at left tackle because, again, the Jets, I'd like to bring Morgan Moses back on a 2-year deal, and he's a tough dude who will age well, and I'd like to be able to kind of run the same line back next year with Olu potentially being better than Tyron Smith. Hopefully, Tippmann even better in year 3, and hey, John Simpson's been, really good value, and Moses and like some continuity, whether it's a rookie quarterback, whether it's Rodgers, whether it's a bridge guy. The Jets just have not had continuity on the offensive line, and you'd like to see them be able to kind of build that, whether it's this year and into next year.
I'd like to see continuity with a different O-line coach because I do think that's limiting the potential for this team.
I would hire Bonesy or, Ray Romano, whatever his name is that hates me in the chat. Like, I bet you he could do a better job than Keith Carter.
Ray Romano. Jesus Jerry in the house with some Australian currency. Will, what do you actually put this cluster F of a season down to? Bad soup? Or second, was any of this evident in the preseason?
Interesting. I think maybe you look more back at the last couple of years and just, hey, the Jets had a tendency to play really close, really close games. Some really nice wins, or they kind of tended to get steamrolled a little bit in terms of games they weren't prepared. I think that's maybe what you look back to, or some trends that way, or losing so much in the defensive line, and that maybe the defensive line's the one that I guess I would point to during camp. I wasn't impressed at all with anything. Even Will McDonald didn't have a great camp. Like maybe that's what you point to and go, they weren't really getting a ton of pressure, and I feel like was it all the offensive line's really good? I think the offensive line's been fine, especially in pass pro, but hey, excuse me. Maybe the defensive line's the one I guess maybe we should have known, coming into the season.
I think it's such a complex reasoning behind this year. Some of it is just poor luck, right? Greg Zuerlein couldn't miss last year. Now he's terrible. It's also poor general managing by Joe Douglas, allowing Greg Zuerlein to cost them another game when you could argue he should have been cut 2 games ago, if we're being fair. I think you also look at some of the injuries to the defense the last couple of years. That hasn't happened. Reddick was factored to be here by now. He didn't show up till last week. Tremaine going down in week 2, obviously part of it. And I think some of the other things too, Will, like you look at the offense. We were expecting Tyron Smith maybe not to be an all-pro level left tackle, but we didn't think he'd go from second-team all-pro a year ago to one of the worst at his position in the league through the first, 8 weeks of the NFL season. So I think it's a lot of things. I think when you kind of break down the talent on this team, when we say, hey, has this player played to their level or exceeded their level or has gone below their level, most of the key guys you would point to have been below their level of expectation. I think you combine all that with the poor kicking, and that's why you're 2-6. But if they just had league average kicking, it'd be disappointing. But they'd have 3 or 4 wins right now. They'd be 4-4, let's say, and still have a lot to play for down the stretch.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. Like, it comes down to like, I don't know. Yeah, this team feels like, hey, you look at it 3 different ways. One, the defensive regression in terms of injuries has been astounding, right? We kind of all thought this might happen just because they've been so healthy on defense the last couple of years outside of the Carl Lawson year 3 years ago. But they've obviously experienced a ton of injuries, even small stuff that's kind of lingered, even Michael Carter, things like that, like, just have been banged up all year. You look at this team, and again, it's not being like they're not good. I'm not saying they are, but it's like, man, like a couple kicks here or one play here, one play there. And it's like, maybe we're having at least a different conversation where like, you don't feel great about them winning the Super Bowl, but like the playoffs are very much within reach. And again, right now we don't have, they're not in that position. I'd like to see them at least get somewhat close to trying to get close to being, relevant at least, by the bye week.
Ladies and gentlemen, not one, but two $1.99 super chats from the same listener, Abat03. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's subway to Yankee Stadium for Game 5 has been covered. Guys, what is wrong with Sauce from All-Pro to Scrub? Well, I'll let you comment on Sauce, but like this is my frustration with some members of this great fan base. Sauce has not played well these last couple games. He had a bad game on Sunday. I think he'd be the first to tell you that too. And Ulbrich, I thought, had some good comments about Sauce yesterday. That said, while he has not played like an all-pro this year, this idea that he's now a scrub, that's not true at all. Like he's still, if you look at all the metrics we judged him on, why he was an all-pro the last 2 years, despite limited interceptions, he's still one of the best cover corners in the league, last game aside where he was bad. So I just think calling Sauce a scrub is very unfair, but he has not been as good to the standard we hold him to. So your thoughts on Sauce?
Yeah, I mean, the standard was the best corner in football
right
for the first 24 months of playing. It's been less. It's you have to stay at that standard, or you're going to look bad regardless. And then he's played like a league average corner. Like he hasn't been good this year. He's been fine. He hasn't given up all these big plays. But like the thing with Sauce, it feels mental right now. Excuse me. Where not putting his head in there on hits, which is a big problem. That's mental, right? That's I'm not doing this, or I don't want to do this. And then second, which he hasn't been a great tackler the first 2 years, but he has not been to this extent. And second, like it feels like it's affected him on the other side of the football, where he's like a step off. He's there, but he's like turning his head late, or he's kind of reacting at the last second, even when he's making good plays. So, I'm only concerned about Sauce in the aspect is you just want to see it snap back into place mentally. I don't know if it's in his own head, if it's reading Twitter every day, telling everyone telling you hold too much, and then you almost get in your own head and like assume you're whole. You know what I mean? Like
I do think he's online too much. I do think that's something, because I think even on that play,
the Ramondre one.
Yeah, the Ramondre one. Like he to me heard all the talk. Oh, you have no interceptions. You're actually
you try to jump her out, and like
right.
You say, you try to jump her out. It happens. You don't have to like then get defensive. It is. You just what you try to do. People do it all the time.
He's putting too much pressure on himself to come up with a pick and make a play, because he's hearing that he's not doing that. Even though, like, if you look at how he's played in some of these games, like, he wasn't targeted against the Bills. He had a good game that night, but like no one talks about that because he didn't have an interception and the team lost. And I think mentally it's affecting him. And I think the best piece of advice I'd give to Sauce Gardner is delete social media. Don't look at it in season. Just be you, man. You have all the talent in the world to be one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't even think the in-season thing's the problem. I think it's all off-season. You're online so much, and you read every fan base, Sauce is overrated. Sauce doesn't have picks. Sauce holds too much. All these different things. And it's like eventually you start to, I don't know if you start to believe what other people are saying, you start to buy into it. Whatever it may be, it feels like right now, like he's just like in a fog. And again, I'm not saying that like long term he can't figure it out and all this stuff. Maybe he has a great game this weekend. That'd be awesome. Tomorrow night it'd be like, hey, great game. Like last year against the Texans, he was fantastic. But I'd like to see him turn around, because he's a 2-time All-Pro that is 24 years old, and it'd be really awesome to have him as a building block. But at this exact moment, are you giving him 4 years, $100 million? at a minimum, maybe not. And that's crazy to say, 8 weeks later after Surtain got paid, but excuse me. But, I think, Stingley will get paid this offseason and, in first, and then you'll see Sauce, and it's a conversation to be had. Does the new GM come in and pay him right away? Does the new GM come in and say, you got to show me something again in year 4? I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Sauce.
Real quick from Jake Quest here. Jake in the dentist office. Not sure what's worse, watching the Jets lately or this root canal I'm about to endure. Probably the Jets.
Probably the Jets, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Root canal is momentary, and you don't get made fun of at work for the next 6 days.
25 writes in, I really think the downfall of the season is management from everyone, from the top to the bottom. Well, yeah, I mean, this team was poorly coached with Robert Saleh. They don't have a coach, it feels like, at times with Jeff Ulbrich. I pray it gets a little better. What do you think of the fact that he's not giving up defensive play calling for continuity purposes? I guess in a short week, that does make some sense. I do wonder, though, Will, if the defense has another poor game, if then it's like, we got to do something different with these 9 days before Arizona.
Yeah, I wonder, just like, is the nervousness that it'll overcomplicate things and stuff like that, I guess. But I don't know, maybe it's hard, man. It's hard to call plays and be a head coach. It's really difficult. And especially when you've never done it before and it takes a while, and Jeff Ulbrich's under an immense amount of pressure trying to do it for a first time. So, yeah, I mean, I'd rather, I think I'd rather like sit there and be able to have him call the plays. But if you told me Marco Manuel or somebody else calls the plays, like, I don't have a problem with that either, to be honest with you, and just have Ulbrich kind of collaborate on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep sending in your super chats. We appreciate everyone for supporting the show. I am nearing 40,000 subscribers. And the reason why I'm pushing hard for that number is because if the Jets lose tomorrow, many of you are gone until probably the draft. So I need to hit that number before then. So please hit the subscribe button and support the show, even if you plan on checking out.
We give you behind the fourth wall here. We don't pull punches.
No, I've seen this too many times. Last year, once the Jets lost that Bills game and it was really over in views and revenue. So I got bills to pay, people. So please subscribe to the channel. Thanks to everyone for your continuous support. Story Lynn writes in, check out the Phillies doc on Netflix. How about we send our team positive vibes? Look, the Jet fans that are there tomorrow aren't going to be negative. I can promise you that. Like, anyone who's going to actually show up on a weeknight, Halloween night, to watch a 2-6 football team play, at least the weather's nice, they want to be there, and they're there to see a win. That said, I don't blame any Jet fan if this team sucks tomorrow to boo. Like, you pay a lot of money for these seats, especially if you're a season ticket holder, and you can get into this game tomorrow for $20, and you're paying hundreds of dollars for your tickets up front. I don't blame anyone being upset, but I do think this fan base is going tomorrow, Will, and you've been a season ticket holder for a long time, to see a win and cheer on the team. It's bleak, but it's not done just yet. And if you win tomorrow, you have some hope with 2 winnable games before the bye.
I'm certainly not going there to boo. I'm certainly going there to hoping, to see something fun and exciting for a little bit, and, see Devontae in person. I've never gotten to do that, and, different things like that. So, yeah, I hope they win. I hope they play a competitive game, and I hope I leave MetLife at least saying, all right, man, like, crappy luck again. This is not their year, but, like,
at least they won a game tonight.
At least they won a game tonight, or, hey, they lost in a horse crap call. We're talking about the refs, and the refs in kicking is the reason they, and the luck turns around in 25. Like, I'd rather that than at least, something similar to the Steelers game. That'd be crushing.
Ladies and gentlemen, more of your super chats. Triangle says, cut the crap. We can't pay Sauce 26 to 30 million a year period. Well, here's the thing. You don't have to necessarily pay him yet. He's under contract for 2 more years. They didn't pay Quinnen after his 3rd year. They made Quinnen play out the 4th year of his deal before the 5th year option. Then they did his contract. I mean, a lot could change. There's this idea that they got to pay everyone immediately is not true.
Yeah, it's not true. I mean, you obviously want to be ahead of the curve. The Jets rarely ever are. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you throw Sauce's first 2 years out. I think if a new GM comes in and says there's one guy I'm going to move to try to get as much value, is it Sauce or somebody like that? Maybe, but I don't know, man. At the same time, I hope Sauce figures it out, because I'd like to have in that core of Sauce and Garrett and, and Jermaine theoretically and Quinnen and some of these other guys that like kind of lead you into a good period of Jets football. Like I kind of, you'd like to see that happen. But again, Sauce has had a rough 6-7 weeks here. by his standards, and you hope he has a really strong finish to the year, and you can feel really confident about him going forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Jerry says A-Rod on target, 4,000 pass yards, and Jets record. Thoughts?
I hope he breaks every one of Fitzpatrick's records, even if the season goes up in flames, even if Rodgers isn't remembered as a great Jet. I cannot stand looking at Ryan Fitzpatrick's records for Jets quarterbacks. He is, I'm going to leave. I'll leave that to another time off air. But I hope Rodgers breaks them, because I just want to not have to listen to it be about Ryan Fitzpatrick anymore.
Well, you know what's sad? Obviously, Rodgers is not playing great. I think he's probably playing worse than what a lot of us pictured he'd be playing. He hasn't been terrible. He's probably been around the 18th to 23rd, maybe best quarterback in the league so far this year on a given game. I would say overall it's average to below average if we're being objective. But he is statistically on pace for 62% completions, 4,029 yards, which would be an all-time Jet record, as sad as that is, 26 touchdowns, 15 picks. And the whole premise of adding him to this team was, well, if you just get league average or competent quarterback play, you're going to win a lot of games. And I think this New England game on Sunday, Will, he wasn't great. You had all the timeout stuff with the delay game and all that, but certainly played well enough for the Jets to win that night. And I think the frustration is that's all they needed last year to go from 7-10 to 10-7. But because the team is worse this year in a lot of areas, we were expecting them to be just as good, if not better. It's no longer good enough for just league average or competent quarterback play. They now need more from Aaron. And since I think he's banged up, he's also 40. I don't know if that's there. And hopefully it is tomorrow. He says he's feeling good. We'll see. But you know what I mean? That to me is the frustration. It's statistically, he's been about average. That's what he's on pace for. And that would have been good enough last year with how good the defense and special teams were. And this year it's not, because you lost 3 games in theory from your kicker. And the D, which was top 5 last year, top 3 in most categories, it's nowhere near that right now. They're still okay. They're not terrible, but it's not what it was.
Yeah, they're a good defense. They're not a great defense this year. Their special teams are atrocious. They've been traditionally the last couple of years an excellent special teams unit that wins them games based on field position and kicking, and their kicker's been horrendous. He's been the worst kicker in the NFL. So that takes away wins there. They've dropped some games. They've had a lot of mental errors. There's all these different things, that have caused this. Yeah, it's frustrating, losing a game 22, whatever they lost, 24-22, losing games in these different ways that you'd like to see them be able to get the job done. And in years past, maybe they do with the defense playing and healthy. That's the defense has stayed healthy the last couple of years. This year, it's not. It's frustrating. I don't think there's any other way to put it. They kind of got what they hoped for in a lot of ways, and it's not been good enough because everything else has fallen apart. That's Rodgers hasn't been great. He hasn't been bad. He's been okay. He's had some really nice weeks. He's had some not so good weeks. And unfortunately, the defense has also had that. And the kicking game has just been mostly all bad. And it's killing them.
It's so frustrating. It really is. It's just.
Also, I saw someone say Fitzpatrick tried. Go back and look at 2016, by the way. And you think 2024 is bad. 2016 was almost more miserable than 2024. And Fitzpatrick held out. Held the Jets over a barrel to pay him, and then was objectively horrendous.
Sucks.
And caused had a boys club in the locker room. It caused a lot of problems and huge culture issues. So go back and research that. I'm telling you, there's a lot of reasons that did not go so well with Fitz at the end.
I'm going to skip ahead to the super chat from Jacob, then we'll get to the other ones. Hey, shout out to Jacob here, Texans fan. Thank you for the content, and you're missed in Houston, Jake. Well, first off, Jacob, thank you, and I've heard from so many of my old listeners from ESPN Houston this week who listened to me on the Wheelhouse. And funny enough, Jacob, I'm getting lunch today with Cody Stutes, my old co-host on the radio. He is in town for this game tomorrow night, covering it. So I'm getting lunch with him today at Al Cheval. Will we're pulling out all the stops from Mr. Stutes.
Wow, look at this guy. This guy Jake's must be at 100 million subscribers at this point.
That's right, baby. That's right. Why do you think Vegas has you guys +2 or -2? You mean? And are you guys believing it? So Will and I are not believing it. We're both picking the Texans to win tomorrow. However, here's how Vegas looks at it, and I disagree, but this is just how Vegas calculates it. Thursday night, home team. It's a big advantage statistically in the history of Thursday night football. Also, Vegas does not view the Jets like they're 2-6. They look at point differential. They also look at factors like the kicking situation, for example. If they had league average kicking, not elite kicking, just bare minimum league average kicking, what would the Jet record be? Let's say 4-4. They also look at the Texans and say, while Houston is 6-2, they don't have Stephon Diggs, first game without him on a short week, and they view it like Houston's point differential, despite being 6-2, it's only +8. You would think a 6-2 team would have a way higher point differential. So you combine all these factors. That's why the Jets are somehow favorites. That said, they don't realize that it's the Jets we're talking about, and they should never be favorites. And that's why I would pick Houston and laugh. But that is why the Vegas gambling folks have the Jets as a favorite, even though we as Jet fans are like, what? That makes no sense. A 6-2 team is an underdog against a 2-6 team.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a matter. Yeah, I think Vegas is looking at point differential and the way Jets have blown some of these games. Short week, no Diggs, no Collins, the offensive line. I think they're looking at what Houston's like, and I just think that they think this is going to be a much closer game. Thursday night is so hard to predict. It's such a crapshoot. There's rarely ever a good game. Hopefully it's just a good game similar to week 3 as opposed to 2022 Jacksonville week 15.
Bo checks in with a super chat here. Both Jake and Will, what would be one offensive or defensive change you would make ahead of Thursday's game as head coach? Well, I would start Olu Fashanu at left tackle, and I would bench Michael Clemens. That's what I would do if I could make 2 moves.
Ooh, I mean, I like the second one a lot. I would try as best I can to, I don't know, offensively, I'd run Breece Hall 25 times and just hope that I can get something going, play action game. Defensively, yeah, no Michael Clemens at all would be ideal. I'd also, try to just play like a bunch of base nickel coverage and hope that help your guys tackle, Joe Mixon. There's not a lot of defensive adjustments because of the injuries and stuff, but you got to get pressure on CJ Stroud. They did it last year with 4, and if they can do it again, they could potentially cause some problems. The Texans cannot pass protect right now.
Do the Jets have a rally in their bones like the Yankees did for a night? Triangle says, will we either pay or trade Sauce? Don't play footsie.
I'd rather pay him at the moment still, but if things continue to go south and someone's going to offer you a Jamal Adams package, maybe you have a different conversation.
25 says, remove the entire offensive coaching staff. Why not? Well, that will happen, I believe, this offseason.
Yeah, I would say most of those guys are probably gone. Maybe Sean Jefferson survives. We'll see. But yeah, I think most of those guys are. Although Downing's not been horrible, but not to keep us an OC if you were going to keep him in a different position. But I still would probably just start fresh.
Yeah, you're going to have a new head coach pick a staff. That's how that works.
Yeah, Robert Saleh's staff, who he hired, even though Robert Saleh was, everyone can't wait to tell you how good Robert Saleh was as a Jets coach now. Pretty hysterical.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, right? I mean, for the Jets were clowned every week for having the worst coach in the league, bottom 3 coach, and then they fire him and say, what? And I'll say this, look, obviously the timing has not worked, but I think what it did, unfortunately, they were not going to win with Saleh, and by firing him, it didn't work.
Scapegoated him and then made him a hero at the same time.
But also, from a win-loss perspective as fans, it just expedited the crappiness of this football team, whereas they probably maybe go 8-9 with Robert Saleh this year,
Yeah, and you try to talk yourself into, just 5 more All-Pros and you'll be okay.
Triangle Sauce for multiple first-rounders would be gnarly. Look, if you got the Jamal Adams deal, yes, obviously that changes things, no doubt. Will already said that. Bang writes in, we need a team president in charge of the football operation. I'm really not understanding this team president thing, Will, because I look at it like this. Ultimately, whether you call him a team president or a general manager, you need a football guy making the football decisions, and I believe that guy needs to be entrusted with hiring the right head coach. Not, Christopher Johnson getting a call from Peyton Manning to hire Gase. Not, Charlie Casserly and Ron Wolf, leading a search and pairing up blindfolded McCagden and Bowles when they didn't even know each other. Not the all the different mechanisms the Jets have basically gone about it. And look, it hasn't worked with Douglas hiring Saleh, but that's still the right way to, I believe, hire your coach. That you have the GM in place, and that guy hires the head coach, and the head coach reports to the GM. I still believe that's the best structure. Just your thoughts on where we're headed here with the Jets potentially needing coach, GM, etc.
Yeah, I think that someone coming in and changing the culture, from that overarching perspective, as a team president, whatever you want to call it. I don't hate the idea, obviously, at all. But at the end of the day, you got to have the GM you have to hire the GM and the GM pick the coach. It's got to be a peer like that's gonna be the structure: owner, GM, coach. It's got to be the owner hiring the GM and the GM hiring the coach. And you got to hire a football guy to come in as the GM. It cannot be, some other person as an owner making a decision. Like, you are hiring, the best guy to help build a culture, to develop talent, etc. And that coach has got to bring in a true CEO leader type. And I don't really want a first-time head coach. I don't. I'm going to keep banging the table for Vrabel, and it's not going to happen. But I don't know, man. Like, those guys played.
You don't think Vrabel would happen?
I think that I'm just hesitant that he takes the job. I'm hesitant that, like, Woody will pay him on top of, they have to hire the right GM. There's just a lot of, like, it could happen. I just don't think it's like, I don't think it's a layup, but like the Jets are going to be his first choice at the moment.
I wonder how many choices he'll have, though, because everyone assumed when he got fired, he's going to get a job right away.
I'm shocked the Patriots should have hired him, but that was a mistake.
Snowball in the house. What's up, Snowball? Good to see you Sunday. What's your adjusted what's your adjusted final record for the Jets now? That's a good question. I'm going to say 7-10.
Yeah, somewhere between 7 and 10, 8 and 9 at this point. It feels like it's like maybe a little optimistic, but probably spot on. There's a chance this thing totally craters, but I feel like they're going to be a team that wins some games they're not supposed to, win some games they should, and then there's also games where you're like, dude, what are we doing?
Well, I'm banking on the winning streak once it's like clearly over, because that happens all the time.
Yeah, it happens. They do it every single time. It's
1-7 with Adam Gase in year one, then they pull together a 6-2 second half and finish 7-9.
That was ridiculous.
Beat no good teams during that stretch. Backup quarterbacks galore. And then remember they played the Ravens on a Thursday night. They played the one good team during that stretch and got absolutely destroyed.
Neville Hewitt was chasing Lamar Jackson around on primetime. That was certainly something.
All right, Will, I got one more thing I want to play for you and get your thoughts.
Yep.
If you got that call, would you answer it? Would you consider being the head coach of this team?
Oh, I'd do it in a second. I'd do it in a second because I am a New York Jet. And I absolutely would, but I'm not here to politic and it seems like it because I tell the damn truth. And I speak as a fan of this football team in this community. That's why it makes sense. So yeah, we'll see. I hope I get an opportunity to interview for it. That's absolutely a given. I hope I get that opportunity.
Should the Jets rehire Sexy Rexy as their next head coach?
Man, the only way I'd do it is if it's like a 1 year. If they win enough games this year that they are in a position where Rodgers comes back and they want to run it back one more time, you shed some of the salary, but you kind of you try to add as much talent as you can, and you hope you get one more run at this thing next year. Let's just play this scenario out, even though I know people aren't going to like it. It's nothing to do with what Rodgers wants. It's just this is what happens, right? If he's a Band-Aid fix for next year, hey, we're going to try to catch lightning in a bottle for 1 year. If Rex is great, we keep him long term. If he sucks, we are in total blow up mode. The cap's in a great situation, and we have all our picks and whatever. It's kind of like the real thing what they should have done is if they were going to fire Saleh, they should have brought Rex in like as that Jeff Saturday, like totally just like who knows what's going to happen. We're just going to clean out some of the bad stuff in this organization. And then
let Obrick remain the DC. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we knew what we knew now, that actually would have made a lot of sense.
I think here's the two things with Rex that this is why I'm not totally like going gaga over it. There's a chance it happens. Like Woody loves Rex, and we obviously know that was the last time they were good. Like 2009, he listens
to the fans, and the fans would like it. Not everyone, but I think a lot of fans would.
2009, 2010 were awesome. Like even the beginning of 2011 was great. Until it wasn't. It's the two things with Rex that scare me are he has not coached in a really long time. And the NFL is just a lot different. And I think Gruden's a better coach than Rex was, especially offensively. And like, there's obviously other reasons that happened, but like, it felt like it was hard for Gruden to get it back. And Gruden was, in the booth and, all this, I don't know. I worry a little bit of like that. The layoffs always a problem. And like, we were misremembering the Rex era a little bit because of how bad it's gone. Like the last couple of years were not great. I do think Rex would be really good to have in the building in a sense. And like a bravado and a culture and all these different things. And I think he'd hire a really good staff. But
that to me is the big thing, though. You nailed it. Like, to me, who's the GM Rex is working with? Because when Rex got his hands on helping Tannenbaum pick players, that's when it went to crap. He won with Mangini's players.
Yeah. DeMario is. It's just like I said. Like
who's the staff, man? He hired a great staff when he became the Jet coach. I would need to know who's OC.
The offensive staff is the one thing that, like, I just like, if you told me he's like, hey, he's going to bring Josh McCown and he's going to be your offensive coordinator and he's going to bring in this guy as a QB coach and he's going to be able to figure this stuff out, right? Like, man, fine, we can have a different conversation now. I'm just worried that, like, Rex is going to do the whole, like, try to recreate 2010. And there's a world in which it works. But my just like I said, my worry is, like, it's been a while now, and unless everything else around him is right, which we can't guarantee, right? Hey, the Jets go out there and they hire a really good young GM. Like, I don't know, is Rex going to work well with the young GM, or is Rex going to be a guy that, like, you'd need to bring in maybe
a GM want to work with Rex Ryan too?
Right, that's my point. It's just there's a lot more variables. I just, like I said, I wish they almost kind of did lightning in a bottle 3 or 4 weeks ago and said, like, hey, we're bringing Rex in the building. He's going to totally, like, just go in total FU mode. And, like, he's going to just coach for his potential next job. Again, I'm not opposed, but I'm also, like, I need to know so much more. Where, like, with Vrabel, I don't need to know that much more. I'd like to know who he's going to pick as the offensive coordinator, and who the quarterback's going to be, because I think it's with anybody. But, Vrabel won a ton of games with a pretty horrible roster in Tennessee. Like, go back and really look at that roster. It was like it wasn't actually that great. And those guys played hard for him. The owner chose the GM and trading AJ Brown over Vrabel, and it was a terrible move. And, Brian Callahan, I like a lot. Brian Callahan might not make it out of Tennessee after one. He might be one and done. And if that's the case, and Rex wants to bring Bill Callahan with him, and Brian like, now we got a different conversation.
Brian, the OC, Bill, the O-line coach.
Yeah, now we're cooking, dude. Now
we got a staff.
Revis back, big, post-retirement Crow. Like
Jim Leonard's the DC, by the way, if Rex is the head coach. Just telling you.
See, again, like that. My point is, like, if you want to have those type of conversations where he's going to build this elite staff, they're going to get a good GM candidate, and Rex is going to just have to be the bravado, establish the culture guy. Yeah, we can. That's a real legitimate conversation. But I just am worried that, like, I don't need this shoddy, even though all due respect to him, or, I don't need, like, the retreads, all retreads of 2010. I need, like, a couple of the pieces that are good culture guys. But then I think a lot of it's, like, the Jets got to get just Jake, and I know we're, like, way over, but, like, I'm looking at this offseason, and it's like they got to just do something. They don't have to get overly creative in terms of doing something nobody else is doing around the league. They have to go and look at and say, like, we don't need to be the Eagles and then 49ers and the Ravens, but we should damn sure be structured in a similar way that we can say there's a clear reporting structure. We have to invest in our analytics staff. We got to invest in the front office, invest in our scouting department, invest in our coaching staff, invest in off the field stuff. Right now, like, I think Buffalo Jet posted it, like, was there 43 people on social media and content for the Jets and, like, 14 people in their front office? It's like, oh, I mean, they have a small analytics team. You'd like to see them expand that, right? You'd like to see them, but, like, Woody's got to invest the money, and it's not just investing the money in paying guys bonuses. Like, that matters, right? Like, that is important that an owner's willing to do that. But, look at the infrastructure at some of these other organizations. That's where the Jets are struggling. And, yeah, you'd like to see that, and then kind of go from there. But yes, to answer the long-winded question, I'm not opposed to Rex. I just need to see what it comes with, because it can't just be Rex and a prayer. That's not gonna work. We saw that in Buffalo. It didn't go so well.
Will, I will see you at Billy's later. Let's go Yanks, and let's hope the Jets can stay alive as well tomorrow with a win over Houston.
Can we I'd just like to come on the show for once and just talk about a win. For the love
it's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Bang Mateo's chirped me for like a month straight, so I gotta keep it rolling.
Will, see you later. All the love. Ladies and gentlemen, Will Parkinson, host of the Turn on the Jets podcast. Speaking of podcasts, this show you're watching on YouTube, I guess it's a podcast, video podcast, however you want to call it. It's also available where you get your audio podcasts, Spotify and or Apple Pods. So just search The Jake Asman Show, and you can listen to anything you might have missed there. Hit the like button if you're tuning in. More importantly, if you're one of these 700 people watching live right now, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're nearing 40K. Come on, people. Support the show. Make this the biggest channel for Jet fans in the universe. Super chat here. I'll stay on a little while longer. 25 says, trade Breece for a ransom now. Draft Genty. I would not trade Breece for anything right now. I would keep Breece Hall. I think very few running backs actually offer real value, like our game changers. I think Breece is one of the few that can because of his ability to be a weapon both out of the backfield and as a pure runner. I think with better coaching that would know how to utilize Breece Hall, he would be having a better season too. And he really hasn't been bad. He's been productive. Team itself hasn't been great. But yeah, I'm not trading Breece at all. I'm not. Now, am I extending Breece? We'll see what it looks like in the offseason. Because unlike the other guys from that draft class, right? Jermaine, Sauce, Garrett, you don't have a fifth-year option with Breece. Breece would be going into his final year. So I actually think it might make sense to think about extending Breece. Do it early, because then you could spread out his cap hit over the next couple of years, and you invest him in early before they lose their step, when they get closer to 30. And Breece is still really young, so you're not worried about that. Super chat from Bo, who writes in, what do you think about Conklin and Allen in backfired? You mean in the backfield for obvious passing downs for ultimate pass protection? I mean, yeah, I don't hate it. I think Braylon Allen, pass protecting Aaron Rodgers is definitely a good idea. Conklin's not a great blocker, but you're gonna use him, I would imagine, a lot tomorrow night, chipping Anderson or chipping Hunter on a lot of routes, the same way they basically chipped TJ Watt. By the way, so anyone who watched the Giant game on Monday night, you see how Daniel Jones did a terrible job adjusting the protection late, getting the tight end to slide. So Jermaine Illuminor had some help on the TJ Watt side, and then Watt had single blocking, right? One-on-one, and he won, and he strip sacked Jones and won the game for Pittsburgh. So one thing the Jets did pretty well in that Steelers game. TJ Watt didn't wreck them. They just beat themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to some of your calls now on the Gus Buster hotline. First up is Stan from Westport. What's up, Stan?
Hey, how are you, Jake? I'm so sorry. I wanted to come very badly on Sunday, but I had this event in Philly with my daughter, and the timing got all messed up. And I was trying to make the second half, but I couldn't do it. Sorry.
Nah, it's all good, Stan. You were definitely missed though. Joe, Kenny, it was good. It's good to have the OG Beningo crew there.
And I just want to say, you get such a great turnout and such a great following. And even though the team is obviously way underperforming, I mean, the loyalty factor, that's the thing that Woody has to understand and see. And I know he knows it intuitively and in reality, but, do something about it, I guess, is what everybody's really saying to him. And I just think it's bizarre, and not just bizarre, but unfortunate about Reddick. But it's so Aaron Rodgers like. I mean, last year he stubbed his toe out on the fourth play, right? And now we have Reddick just coming in and he's already down. It's wow, what's going on here? But I will say one thing that I think is important, paralleling the Yankees and the Jets. Last night, the Yankees played a very, very strong game, like the Yankees obviously are capable of winning the division and everything. And they were terrible, right? Not so much in the first game. That was a tough one, but they weren't good, right? And the Jets are kind of the same the way the season started up till now. So tomorrow night could have a lot of parallels like last night did for the Yankees. It could be a real turnaround game, because the Jets, in my mind, they should be no worse than 5-3 and probably more like 6-2, as you said earlier with your great guest, the couple of breaks that go the other way that were, let's say, unusual.
Yeah, it's a good point, Stan. I just wonder, and thank you for the call. I just wonder, is it too little too late for the Jets? And I kind of think it is at 2-6. Because even if they win tomorrow, all right, you're now 3-6. I really would have to see this team win a couple games in a row to have any hope again. Just because why would I expect this team to have a great performance in a short week and then 9 days later be able to handle business on the road against the Cardinals, who are playing decent ball right now? Just beat the Dolphins, won last week. Before that against the Chargers. Like, it's just tough to picture. Could they do it? Yes. I think there's hope if Rodgers is truly healthy, like he said yesterday he is somehow. You know, the cayenne pepper that he got from Thomas Morstead, where he discovered the fountain of youth. I know he's messing around saying it, but like, if he's actually healthy, like, and he's somehow more mobile than he's been, then yeah, like, okay, if he plays like he did against New England, they could beat anyone. I mean, that's how good he was that night. Thank God I was there to see it. It might be the only real highlight of the season. But that's really it. Like, you got to see this team win a couple games in a row, because it might be too little, too late at 2-6. You know, that's why this game this past week was so killer, so killer. But we'll see. You know, I hope they go on a run. I really do. I don't want to be talking about GM candidates and coaching candidates and sell the team, Woody, in October. Like, it's not even Halloween yet. Curly says we're talking about the next coach and GM on October 30th. Effing kill me. Yeah, I know. It sucks, man. But I love it, Curly. You're still here. Are you going tomorrow, Curly? You're a season ticket holder. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to more of your calls. This guy, I think, will have a coherent and well thought out point on the state of affairs with the New York Jets.
It's time for another V-Man call. Hopefully he's not sleeping. Adios mio.
Hey, Jake, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, V-Man, are you going to the game tomorrow?
No, I got work. I didn't take work off.
All right. Well, if you want to go, I have a ticket for you.
Nah, I can't take work off at this last minute.
I understand.
And besides that, I got no one watching my dogs for Halloween. If I did.
What are you going for Halloween? What are you going as?
I'm not doing anything for Halloween.
You're not trick-or-treating?
I haven't trick-or-treated in years. I would scare kids. I hang out around my house, scare kids, hand out candy, but I just didn't feel it this year. I was just exhausted. I didn't have time to decorate my house or anything. All I just got is a pumpkin that I'm going to just carve.
Is that why you're wearing orange right now?
No. I'm just wearing orange because this is just what I was wearing.
I see. Now, wait a second. The V-Man household is not giving out candy on Halloween to children tomorrow?
No, I am. I bought the candy. I'm not gonna pick it up. Just that I didn't do the whole dressing up my house. I didn't dress up my house. I play scary music. So I just didn't feel it this year. Just did not feel the energy towards doing it. Also, my attic is a complete wreck, so I couldn't get to any of the decorations. So I couldn't get to any of them. It's like completely turned upside down. So there's like no way for me to get to the decorations in my attic.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but no, the talk with this about I want to make a comment about the fan interference in the World Series. If you don't do that, but if you're gonna do that, don't make it obvious. Pretend you're sneezing and just flinch forward.
There's no way to make that obvious. He grabbed the glove of Mookie Betts.
You mean that you said there's no way to make it obvious? You mean
there's no way to not there's no way to make it discreet. I mean,
well, I mean, like I said, there's a way.
All right, you tell us how.
Like, obviously, like I said, not in that scenario, but like if you're gonna fan interfere, like this, like fake a sneeze. If you fake a sneeze and flinch forward, they can't do anything. How are they gonna know your sneeze is fake?
Interesting.
But let's talk about the football thing with Rex.
Is it true that you were inspired by the fan last night at the game, and you're going to be sacking C.J. Stroud tomorrow mid-play?
There's no truth to that whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, I'm going to talk about the coaching thing with Rex. I get why a lot of people are concerned about it. It's totally right to be concerned about, because reality, of the coaches that have been away from the game that long and been able to come back and be successful, the only one I can ever think of who actually did it was Dick Vermeil.
Yeah, Gruden wasn't awful. We'll never know how it would have ended, though, because obviously he had to, he was fired.
Scandal.
Resigned, whatever you want to,
Yeah, scandal. But like I said, that's the only one I can really think of. So, I mean, it has been done. We can't act like it has been done, but I would do it if you have the right staff. Obviously, with the right staff. You got a question: Is he studying the game? Is he keeping up with how the game's evolved? Is the question you'd have to ask. Like, because we all know that 2010 style of Jets football is not gonna. That 2010 style is not gonna work here right now. That's not gonna work. You need to be forward thinking. So I agree with Vrabel being probably the idea that I would like the most. But we can't obviously obviously if, like I said, they do Rex, I understand why. I understand why Woody likes Rex. I understand everything behind it. So I would, like I said, I'd be fine as long as you get the right people, as long as you get the right staff in here with him. Yeah.
What are you looking at off camera?
I was looking at my computer.
So your camera is like below your computer?
This is my phone.
Oh.
So yeah, no, that's how I feel about it. And yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be that really energized I'll watch this game because I have Amazon Prime, but I don't know how enthusiastic I'm gonna be.
You'd get it on local TV too by NFL rules, probably CBS or Fox.
Well, no, but I'm going into work. I go into work at 9, so I'll be watching on Prime. So because I can't take my TV with me.
All right, well, you do that. All right.
All right. Yeah, but like I said, it's just frustrating that this is the way it turned out. Because probably one of the most disappointing seasons. Like just so many this season is just an encompassment of Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Snowball says that every trick-or-treater will receive a Cuban cigar at the V-Man household. Is this true?
No. First off, Cuban cigars have gone down in quality over the last few years. Like anybody with a cigar will tell you that. Like
Neil, have Cuban cigars gone down in quality over the last couple of years?
No. Hey, V-Man, how are you, buddy?
How are you? How are you doing? But
Okay.
but no, listen, that's what I've heard from the Cuban Reddit.
No, they've actually, the Cuban cigar is still the most in-demand cigar there is on the market. The prices for Cuban cigars have gone up more than inflation by about tenfold. And to me, it's still the best smoke that you could ever have. And it's probably the best thing next to sex that you could ever do when you have a good Cuban.
Yeah.
So,
there was a time before when actually Puerto Rican cigars outclassed them, but the U.S. government destroyed the tobacco industry in Puerto Rico. So
yeah,
so sad.
Well, V-Man, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's the end of that V-Man call. Now he can go back to sleeping.
Hello, Neil.
You see, I have my advertisement on there.
Hey, there it is. The polo looks good. Gator wrote in that I love when Neil's wife throws his ass in the garage.
Oh God.
Are you still in the doghouse?
I'm in a bit. No, I'm not in the doghouse. I can't look. I'm married 40 years. I mean, how long could you be in the doghouse? My wife loves me. I don't know how, but she's not. She's very mad at me because, let me tell you this. This is pretty funny. She bets. She likes to bet. To keep baseball interesting. So she bet the Dodgers for $400 the first game. Then she bet another $400 on the Dodgers in the second game and won. Then she bet another $400 on the Dodgers and won the third game. So yesterday she says to me, I'm going to take all $1,200 and put it on the Yankees because they're not going to get swept. See, my wife is total opposite of me. She's the luckiest person on earth, okay? I'm the total mush, as we all know. She is the luckiest person on earth. So she says to me, I'm going to put $1,200 on the Yankees. They're going to win. I said, Michelle, keep your money. We're going to a casino over the week. Keep your money. Use it for the casino, whatever. Don't do it. Don't do it. I talked her out of it.
Oh.
Are you freaking kidding me? And that happened yesterday. So She has a new reason to be mad at me. It's every day. It's a new reason. It's a new adventure to be mad at Neil. But
well, maybe she should start betting on Jet games if she's feeling a Jet one.
She's very negative on the Jets, and that's really part of it. I think it's part of our problem. But I sent you that text about the probabilities of the Jets making the playoffs and the Yankees winning the World Series. It's both, believe it or not, around 9% probability for either team to do what would be an incredible feat. And I can't believe the Jets are even as good of an opportunity to win as the Yankees winning the next 3 games, because one of the two might happen. Let's just put it that way. And this is why we're fans. Think about this. The game last night, my brother-in-law went, and he got splattered with beer all over. I mean, the fan base was absolutely crazy last night at that stadium. And all they did was win 1 game. At the end of the day,
well, you know what, though? The embarrassment of getting swept is terrible. Like, the goal last night, show some pride, don't get swept. The goal tonight with your best pitcher going is just get it back to L.A. Don't let them celebrate on your field. And look,
I get
the
it.
pressure only mounts for the Dodgers if you could get it to L.A. Forget like what the Mets did. Don't. And then you're like, oh, you have Mania going. Like, just give yourself some hope, give yourself a chance. If they lose in 6, there's no shame in that. It's frustrating, it's disappointing, but it's still, you're in the World Series for the first time in 15 years. You're playing a better team. But you didn't want to get swept last night. That would have been embarrassing.
I get it. That the pride factor comes into play in a big way. I mean, the amazing part is they scored 11 runs, and really Judge had nothing to do with the 11 runs scoring. I mean,
neither did Stanton and Soto too, which is a good sign because Judge had a good at bat. He had the RBI his last one. All it takes is him to have a great game today with Cole pitching, and all of a sudden you're playing Game 6.
Judge looked like he was taking a lot of those change-ups that he was normally swinging at low in the strike zone. So I think there's definitely some hope there. And I will tell you this, being as long, when you were talking to Will about things and signs that we saw in the preseason of potential problems, and he was right about the D-line. But the thing that was most striking in the preseason, and I watched the preseason games as well as I do on the regular season, was, again, Zerloin had 2 wide left misses in preseason that would have been a striking problem had we had a normal coaching staff. And the one thing I want to see, Jake, more than anything, is for me to gain any kind of confidence in what we can do here, is we have to change it up on D-line and adjust to the fact that we have a putrid defensive line right now, and stop with the 4-man rushes and expecting to get to C.J. Stroud with 4 people. You got to get 5. You got to get 6. You got to do blitzing. You got to get on the line of scrimmage, and you got to change it up. Our defense is so predictable that it's very easy to game plan against, and we really got to make some changes there. That's the only thing I want to say about what I want to see tomorrow night. And I know the football gods, they're not going to allow us to lose the season in October. They're going to, again, I'll say it, we're going to win a lot of games here. And then come December 8th, when we finally have the faith, and they'll probably get me down in Miami because I planned on going down there just to do a little vacationing. They're going to suck us in, and then Miami's going to bitch slap us December 8th and put the season to bed. But it's not going to happen until then, I can assure you. We're going to win this game tomorrow night.
You said they're going to win every week.
No. I'm just saying to you, this is how it's going to happen. Do you doubt that that's going to happen? You think it's going to be over tonight and we're just going to walk away and lose and that'll be it? That's not going to happen.
I think the Jets lose tomorrow. Yes, I do.
You do?
I do. Yeah. I think they're going to lose tomorrow. I do. I thought they were going to win all these other games. I'm done, man. I'm not.
Well, I will say this to you. I will know if they're going to win in the very first quarter, because if like I said, if they blitz Stroud and get pressure on him, because they're not going to do it with 4, and they put pressure on him, because think about it. If Sauce, DJ, and Michael Carter can't cover 3 backup receivers and give our defense enough confidence to blitz, then we don't deserve to win the game. Because if you give Stroud time, he's going to tear you up no
Are
matter
you
who the
going tomorrow? I
receiver is.
forget what you said. You're not, right?
No, I have a big Halloween thing here tomorrow night at my house out east. I can't
That's right.
drive all the way to. It's 3 hours to get to MetLife. I would not torture myself for 3 hours. If it was,
Charter or plane?
if I was in Garden City, yeah, we're going to land in the swamp. We're not going to land. I wouldn't.
They'll
do
let
it.
you land on the 50-yard line.
Yeah, if that's I got a call from my rep, and I said that's it now. I said the only way I'll renew my season tickets is if you put me in the on the bench and you let me call plays. Why don't they let Rodgers call plays? And
They do, and it's not working. He's not getting them in fast enough. They got to figure
Oh,
that
that's
out.
another thing. Rodgers said that he likes quick tempo. So that's another thing. Can we please have a little quick tempo in the game? Maybe change it up a little bit instead of huddling, waiting, sitting, letting the defense set themselves up. Get up there to the line.
I'd go no huddle the entire opening drive.
Exactly.
And switch it
How
up.
about the opening quarter? I mean, teams that do this hurry up, and I watch a lot of games, and I watch Red Zone, and I noticed that the teams that do quick tempo move the ball down the field, and the ones that don't and hesitate and move slowly and eat the clock. And that's another thing, clock. We want to have as many possessions as possible. So, let's do a little up tempo. I want to see Fascino in the game. I would say put Fascino in at left tackle. I agree with you. And if he gets beat once or twice, go back to Tyron. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Tell Tyron, he's your back's injured. The guy's not 100%. Let's face it. So put Fascino in. If he gets beat a few times, so be it. If he ends up playing well and he doesn't give up any pressures and Rodgers has some time, God forbid, because if you notice the times that he's had pressure, it's come from that left side of the line. It's come from, Smith's side of the line almost every time.
Neil, I agree with you. I think they're going down with Tyron for at least another game, though.
These goddamn exploding cigars. I gotta go, Jake. I'll call back later. Shit.
I would start Olu Fascino at left tackle. I've said it for weeks already. Captain Swanson says Matt Campbell's the only head coach that I want to pay money. I don't know about that. I need someone more proven than Matt Campbell. He's never won in the NFL before. I mean, he's obviously had tremendous success, and they interviewed him a couple of years ago, the last hiring cycle. Maybe it was the Gase cycle. He's been excellent at Iowa State, but he's not an NFL guy. He's never coached in the NFL before. I think it's too big of a risk to take a guy unproven and say, you're the coach of the Jets. I need someone with more experience. I'm tired of guys learning on the job. Andrew says Sean Payton came back. He's doing fine. This wasn't, reference to Rex being out for as long as he was. Sean Payton missed 1 year, though. He sat for 1 year. It's a lot different. Now, just because Rex has been out for 8 years doesn't mean it automatically wouldn't work. Right? Dick Vermeil is the best example. He was away for 15 years between coaching gigs, and he won a Super Bowl with the Rams when he came back. So it has happened. I think there's other candidates I'd prefer over Rex. Listen with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Listen. Super chats have been awesome today. I really appreciate it, guys. Yes, they have. Quality control is better, but overall quality, no, with the exception of Monte Cristo. Demand has nothing to do with it. I'll take on a Padron Anniversario 1964 or 1928 over most Cubans. All right, so some cigar talk here. After V-Man and Neil, we're going back and forth on the Cuban cigar. 25 says, give me Saban. That's stupid, 25. Come on. He wasn't good in the NFL. And I was retired. You want to bring Nick Saban into this? Brian says, what's it going to take to get a win tomorrow? Score more points than the other team, Brian. Promise you if the Jets do that, they will win. All right, a few more than we wrap. Action Pack, you're next. What's up, Action Pack?
Hey, Jake. What's going on, man?
What's up?
The Jets took the wins out of ourselves last 2 games, man. I didn't even feel the urge to call back. I know, man. But, yeah, for me, the Rex thing, when Rex was the coach before, the thing that I didn't like with the Rex, he get his emotions too much into the games. That's why I didn't like him as and then he's gonna bring his brother back on the sideline. They both look like some gangsters and all this. We don't need all that right now. We need somebody else to take over and right the ship for us, man. I don't think Rex is the answer. You know what I mean? And yesterday when Will was on, what happened in that last drive in the game when we it was a jailbreak blitz we sent out. It was the right call. Nobody get home. The quarterback took off and run for the first down. That was the game. Why they didn't leave somebody back in to spy so he couldn't escape the pocket to make the first down? I don't understand why everybody just went and nobody get there.
Yeah, it's poor play, man. It's just, poor rush lane integrity, gap discipline. I mean, how many times have we seen that though this year? Look at the end of the Bills.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. These guys got to be more disciplined, man. And then Sauce, what's going on with Sauce? I mean, I'm watching the show every day, and everybody calling and critiquing Sauce, but he deserve it, man. He deserve it. Luckily, that Minnesota game, Justin Jefferson wasn't on him the whole time, because he would have been exposed from that game, and probably the talk would have been more realistic. Luckily, Justin Jefferson, they were smarter than us to put Justin Jefferson in the slot so he won't be matched up with Sauce all the time. That's what we should have been doing with Garrett, giving him the ball in space so he can run with it. He's good like that. You know what I mean? So, man, I don't know, man. I don't even want to say we're going to win tomorrow, but hopefully we win tomorrow, because we're going to watch the games regardless of what people say. They're not going to watch, and they're done with the Jets. I've been a Jets fan all my life since I've been to this country, so I don't have no other team, man. So we gotta get it right. That's all I got today, Jake.
I'm with Action Pack. Great call, man. Appreciate you as always. Yeah, we're gonna watch. So if we're gonna watch, can they win? I'm going to this game too. This is probably the last home game I go to this year if they lose. So I'd like to see them win. Otherwise, I'm putting the bag over my head in the stands watching this. JJ says, tickets to the game tomorrow, $9. What a joke. Well, JJ, I'll make it up to you. Come to J3, Gotham City Crew, and I'll get you a drink. All right? A little bang for your buck. I mean, it's a joke. If you're a season ticket holder, you spend all this money, and then the team sucks, and then the prices on the secondary market are so dirt cheap. It's like, why am I spending hundreds of dollars for this game when I could just get in for nothing? Right? You can probably get a great seat tomorrow for $100 in the lower bowl. Like normally those tickets would be a couple $100 if you're a season ticket holder per game. And the whole point I've always felt, and I've said this a couple times this week because we've talked a lot about it on the show, I've always felt the value of being a season ticket holder is for face value on playoff games. Well, this team hasn't had a home playoff game since 2002. Right? If you're a Knicks season ticket holder or a Rangers season ticket holder, you have playoff games are going to be so much money on the secondary market. Makes sense to be a season ticket holder. You could sell some of your tickets, make your money back. You could sell any playoff game you can't make your money back for the year. There's value. Yankee fans, value. Met fans, value. You're getting playoff games at face value. There's no value in this. It's just loyalty when the Jets have given you nothing. Robert Williams. What's up, Robert?
What's going on, Jake? Really didn't expect to even get on here. I just had a couple things to say, man. First off, just like you, we've been Jets fans for a long time, right? I know our team is playing bad. They're playing horrible. But how does it help when we bash them so much? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, Robert. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we got a lot of young players. Breece, Garrett. We got all these young guys. They're not used to this New York market. Man, they're not used to us, man. We're just rude by nature. We mean well, but I think that it's kind of making them play worse, man. The way that we kind of bash them, I feel like we're helping Buffalo, we're helping Miami, we're helping all these other teams, man. We're gonna watch regardless. Let's be real. We're gonna be here way longer than they are. 20 years down the line, they're not gonna be here anymore. We still will be, and I do like to be optimistic. I kind of hope that the NFL is kind of scripted and this is just going to be a crazy Cinderella story. And at the end of the season, after we win the Super Bowl, we'll get a movie out of it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. And if there is a team talent-wise, that is able to turn it around is this team. Like, the talent is there. The talent is 100% there.
They're poorly coached, and coaching is so important in the NFL. You could argue maybe more than any other sport. The head coach in the NFL matters. Look, I'm not going to blame any Jet fan for being upset. I mean, the bottom line is fans spend an enormous amount of money supporting the team. They spend an enormous amount of time emotionally supporting the team. These losses kill me, man. They hurt. They ruin my whole week. It's hard to do. I love doing the show because of the community, and it's awesome to, talk about sports for a living. But, like, I cover one team on YouTube every day, and when they lose, and I got to deal with it every day, twice a day it's like, it's hard, man. I want them to win. But it's hard to stay hopeful. They have the longest playoff drought in the NFL. If you're going to the game tomorrow, you should be positive. You should be excited, cheer for the team. But I'm also not going to blame anyone who doesn't want to go or doesn't want to invest the time and money and hours it takes to leave the stadium. But here's the thing. If the NFL was scripted, they would not have the Jets, one of the biggest fan bases in sports, biggest media market in the world, be this bad for 14 years in a row. It ain't scripted. If it was scripted, they wouldn't have Aaron Rodgers go down 4 plays in last year when the Jets had every primetime game on the schedule the first 10 weeks of the year last season as well. Win tomorrow, and people will be a little more hopeful, right? You see what one win did for the Yankee fan base. There's some optimism now. I don't think the Yankees are coming back, but you know what? Live to see another day. They did that last night. We'll see if they can do it again tonight with Garrett Cole. Same thing tomorrow. Live to see another day with the Jets. It might be too little too late at 2-6, but technically, you win out, you can win 11 games. 9 might get you in the playoffs. 10, I think, definitely would. So it's not completely over yet, but until they are done, I'm going to root for them. But it is what it is. But here's the thing, right? Like, these guys are paid millions of dollars. If they don't play well, they're going to hear it from the fans. The reason why they're paid the amount of money they're paid is because we give a shit. We care. We watch. We buy the merchandise. We go to the games. The ratings for the NFL have never been higher. So I don't think anyone, like, this fan base was as excited for a season as they've ever been, maybe since last year. Like, you pick your poison. These last 2 years. And the team has given us nothing for the most part. They were 2-1 this year. We were excited, and they haven't won since. Last year, they lose Rodgers immediately, which takes the wind out of the sails of the entire season, but at least they were 4-3 at one point. It's tough. We all want to see this team win, but you can't blame any fan for being negative if they've been a Jet fan. The fact that they're still a Jet fan after all the pain they've been through, they should get credit for that, not scolded. You know what I mean? So I'm going to this game tomorrow, and I hope they win. I really do. All right, that does it for me. I want to thank everyone who was part of the show. Thank you to all the callers. Couldn't have done it without you. Everyone who sent in a super chat. You guys are the best. Will Parkinson was with us for the first hour of the show. If you didn't get a chance to watch it live, we are back this afternoon with Jeff Parros, so stay tuned for the start time for that. It will either be 3:30 or 4, so I'm looking forward to that. Hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day. Let's go Yankees. And, of course, let's go Jets as well. Hang in there, everybody. We're in this together. Please subscribe if you haven't. We're nearing 40K. That's big. You sleeping, Bob?
I'm in the orange chair. Hi, Aurora. This is for you, sunshine.
How does it feel?
Good. You're welcome, sweetheart. You're a good girl. Sunshine.
Bobby serenaded me last night on his channel.
When I think about you, I touch myself.
Wow.
Jets, Jets. Oh, yeah, the dream season we've been waiting for is happening.